As a Chinese medicine practitioner, we're always concerned about the why, and the why always has to be addressed. So for the headache, we would not just treat the symptom, because killing the pain has to happen. We also try and figure out, well, why did you get this headache? What's the underlying cause? Was this something to do with your digestive system or hormones or the weather or a muscle strain or stress? And then we want to address that too. Because from our point of view, one cause, one imbalance can lead to a lot of problems. So that imbalance that's maybe causing the headache now might cause something else later.
Hi, everyone. My name is Anesha, and I'm your host for the Wellness Plus podcast. In today's episode, I would love to welcome to the show Dr. Jack Schaefer. With a lifelong devotion to Taoism, martial arts, and Chinese medicine, Jack's expertise as a board-certified acupuncturist and herbalist illuminates a holistic approach to health and wellness. Through Jack's insights, we'll gain a deeper understanding of the transformative power of Taoist principles and the profound healing potential of Chinese medicine. Hi, Jack. Thank you so much for coming on.
Hey, thanks for having me, Anisha. I'm really excited to be here.
Yeah, I'm so excited. So, can you start by telling us the fundamentals of Taoism and how it led you to your journey?
I would say that there are a lot of aspects to what Taoism is and ways to live it. I think that for me, through my entire life, from my teenage years up until this point, you know, I've been interested in different aspects of it. And, you could say different parts of it have kind of called to me. So, Taoism is really, it's the native religion of China, but through the, 2000 plus years that it's been growing and changing and whatnot, it too, it's a living tradition. So the things that make Taoism tick, I guess, its point of view in the universe has also changed. And what that leads to as a practitioner then are lots of opportunities because, Taoism is very focused on, health and longevity is something we do, but it's not the only focus. Taoism is very focused on, you know, stopping reincarnation for us as well as all sentient beings, much like Buddhism. And so that's also a really interesting topic. And maybe when you're younger, you don't care as much about that, but as you get older, you start to really think about your mortality and next lives, and you start to see the suffering around the world, and that starts to become something that's interesting to you as well. How can we end that? So there are so many aspects to the fundamentals of Taoism, but I would say one of the big ones that really calls to me at this moment is the relief of suffering, not just for myself as an individual or my family, but worldwide. How can we sort of help relieve the suffering in the world? As a kid, so my father was interested in Buddhism, and I grew up as a martial arts kid, and so I had a lot of exposure to Asian culture. My father started teaching me meditation when I was a young teenager, as well as my martial arts teacher. And so I got really interested in, in meditation, maybe for the mindfulness and the relaxation part that a lot of people care about now. But as a teenager, probably more in like the superpowers. My younger sister gave me a copy of the Tao Te Ching, I think for my 13th birthday. I read that book and I was really fascinated with just the cryptic language in it because it seemed to be espousing answers for just about anything you could come up with. And that was really the launching point. And, because I was involved in martial arts and I had all these, Asian influences in my life, it never really separated from me. And I kind of just stayed with it through my teens and into college where I studied Daoism and I studied Chinese medicine and Chinese and Japanese language and, ended up living in China. And, it honestly, Anisha, it had this momentum that I can't even explain.
That's amazing. Are there certain practices that have stuck with you?
Every day is an interesting question because I tend to live sort of cyclically in that I see I see practices as like medicine, in that, there are certain medicines that you take a lot, and there are certain medicines that you only use when you need them. And so one of the big ones is meditation. How much I use meditation definitely varies. I mean, there are time periods in my life where I'll meditate a lot, and really in deep and multiple times a day. And then there are periods where it'll draw back and it'll be shorter sessions and less focused. And so then all the other practices that we do, including visualization meditations or ritual practices, self-inquiry, those are all things that I do very regularly, but they depend on, again, my particular needs or situations at the time. What my life is like, what my clinic patients are like, how much traveling I'm doing to, back and forth to China, or, how much teaching I'm doing, those kinds of things. But I tend to really think of this stuff as medicine. So we use it more when we need it more, less when we need it less. But some of it are things we take every day, no matter what.
Have you ever had any experiences with these practices?
Yeah, there's a couple of aspects we can get into. It's almost embarrassing to talk about these things sometimes because they seem so woo-woo. The first one I ever had, I was about 16, and I was doing really getting serious about this particular meditation that I had learned from one of my teachers at the time. And I was doing it every night, and I would do it for about an hour-ish, depending on, I was a teenager, so I don't, sometimes that didn't happen as much. But I was really focused on it, and, I was really focused on the benefits that would come out of that, and I was really interested in that and looking for them. And so I was on a good stretch I was hit right around 100 days at this point. And I remember I went and I finished the meditation, and I laid down on my bed, and I had this experience where I started to hear this very loud noise in my ears, almost like a rumbling, like the sound that thunder makes, but it was constant. And I could feel my arms and legs sort of raising up off of the bed. And I was like, wow, this is really strange. And then I could start to see, this, what seemed like energies or spirits or beings, or I don't really know what to call them at this point in my life, around in the room, and I just could sense the presence of all these things all around me as I was sort of floating up. And then I kind of realized what was happening, and I snapped myself out of it, and I kind of plopped back down on the bed, and I was like, what the heck just happened to me? That was really crazy. I called my dad, and I asked my dad, what was this about? And, his advice was really, don't worry about it. Don't chase it. These kinds of things happen. Just don't focus on it. Just go relax and lay down. And my other teachers sort of confirmed the same thing. Like in sort of Daoist lingo, we talk about these two aspects of the human. One is our pre-heaven side, which is our true innate nature. People might call it like our Buddha nature or something like that. And then we also talk about what we call post-heaven side, which is of the illusory body and the illusory mind. And we spend so much time in the illusion of the stories that we create about our current existence. And that when we start to glimpse those moments, through like a transcendental experience like you're talking about, or a vision of what we consider to be pre-heaven in Daoism, sometimes that is almost uncomfortable at first and a little scary, because it's like, wait a minute, that's just an illusion, and this is the real thing. This is strange, and it's a little frightening at first. And I think the more you can touch it, the more you see the illusion is just illusion, and the more you see the other thing is your true you. And it becomes less scary, and you really want to be there more. And that's what we consider to be more like realization experiences and whatnot.
Hey guys, I would like to take a moment to introduce you to our app, Yoga Plus. You will have access to an incredible selection of videos led by top instructors in yoga, fitness, nutrition, and so much more. Download our Yoga Plus app available on iOS and Android today.